Good morning, greetings, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your health, vitality, and well-being, and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body, you are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 32 years of practicing pharmacy, I have seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, acne, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds, recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle, but what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing system. It's a regenerating system. It is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis. And while some folks may call that a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we are here for you. We welcome your phone calls. 844-236-6010. 844-236-6010 is our number. If you have a health challenge you or a loved one may be dealing with, if you have a success story you'd like to share, if you want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number. And got an empty board. Nobody's on the line now. Now's the time to call in, 844-236-6010. If you have questions about our longevity products, our Truth Skin Health products, which are available at truthtreatments.com. Got 3 new products coming out here in the next probably week to 10 days. So check out truthtreatments.com. Of course, we have our traditional Truth Treatments, our 4 main Truth Treatments, our 2 cleansers, our 2 supplements, and just check out the website and you'll see not only will you get access to some great products, but also we have a skin health blog at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. For longevity, go to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And don't forget to click on the Join the Team link and start yourself a longevity business for a one-time $25 fee. You can be in business for yourself. You can just get your whole products at the wholesale price if that's all you want, or you can start yourself a business, a small business, a lucrative business, a fun business, a helpful business, a win-win business, all for a one-time $25 fee. Click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com, or call 866-735-2470 for more info. Okay, welcome back to The Bright Side. We're talking about enzymes. We were talking about bioelectricity, and I have not forgotten to talk about that because that's the electrical nature of the body. It is not only the most fundamental nature of the body, but it's the most fascinating and the most interesting, and it's where we have the most leverage. We talk a lot about the chemistry of the body. The first place electricity becomes chemistry, or one of the first places it becomes chemistry, is at the level of enzymes. That's where it becomes biochemistry, actually. Electricity becomes chemistry, and then it becomes biochemistry. It becomes chemistry probably at the genetic level, and then the genes make the enzymes, and that's where life begins. And that makes enzymes really, really important. So electricity is foundational, and via genetics, enzymes are created from electricity. How that happens is another story and quite amazing, but we'll leave that for another day. Enzymes are the beginnings of biochemistry, and that makes enzymes super duper important. The idea that there was a relationship between enzymes and health was first elucidated or explained in the early 1900s. And it was related to when it was discovered how powerful enzymes were in the body. There was a relationship that was developed, or an understanding that was developed between the relationship of enzymes that are in the body and enzymes that we eat, food enzymes. The idea that enzymes were related to health and life and biochemistry had been known about since the beginnings of organic chemistry, which is really the 1830s or 1820s or 1830s, in that area. And they kind of knew about enzymes, but they didn't really understand how important enzymes were for biochemistry until the beginning of the 20th century. And then Dr. Edward Howell noticed that there was a relationship between the kind of enzymes, between enzymes that were ingested and enzymes in the body. And he developed what he called food enzyme therapy. Dr. Edward Howell, he wrote a book, he wrote a lot of papers on it, and there's a book that was published, I think, in maybe 1980 or so, that is really a classic in this idea. Where is that book here? Hang on a second. I don't even know where I put it. I forgot the title of it, but it's a classic, about food enzyme therapy. He came up with the idea that food and metabolic enzymes, food enzymes, the enzymes we eat, and metabolic enzymes, the enzymes in the body, are part of a pool of enzymes. And the enzymes of biochemistry are made up of both the enzymes that are already in the body and the enzymes that you eat. And so enzymes in the body that are responsible for muscle building and fighting cancer and movement and growth and repair and just general living, because enzymes are responsible for all of life, can interact with and can be supported by the enzymes that we eat. And this gives us a powerful tool for slowing down the aging process and for healing, not just for digestion, but for healing and for anti-aging and fighting cancer and building tissue and all the stuff you need to be alive. This is so important. This food enzyme theory, the idea that you can support your metabolic enzymes with food enzymes, gives us a powerful point of power for addressing our health and longevity. That is eating enzymes. Oh, guess what? Most of us don't even touch enzymes. Think about it. If you're subsisting on the standard American diet and you're not supplementing with enzymes, where are you going to get your enzymes from? Your body's going to be stuck with the enzymes. It's metabolic enzymes, the enzymes it's making. You're going to be missing a powerful way to improve the body's biochemistry. It's not like the mighty 90. Enzymes are not absolutely required because you have metabolic enzymes and you're making your own enzymes, that's for sure. But you just miss a powerful point of healing. So anyway, Dr. Howell came up with the food enzyme theory, and he based it on what he called the food enzyme stomach. The food enzyme stomach is a stomach that only has food enzymes in it, or that depends on food enzymes. It doesn't make its own enzymes. Stomachs make enzymes. A food enzyme stomach is a stomach that doesn't make enzymes. I should say most stomachs make enzymes. And when I say most, that's something that it's counterintuitive. Because when I say most, I'm talking about the stomachs of different animals, number one. And I'm talking about the various stomachs within an animal. Animals have multiple stomachs. Humans have one stomach, but many animals have multiple stomachs. And what Dr. Howell noticed was that in cattle and in sheep and what are called ruminants, animals that eat grass, they have 4 stomachs. He noticed that there were enzymes that were produced in just one of the 4 stomachs. The other 3 stomachs did not produce their own enzymes, but rather depended on enzymes that were coming in from the grass. Grass contains enzymes. So he noticed that in these ruminants, digestive enzymes were only being secreted in one stomach, and the other 3 stomachs were depending on food enzymes in order to digest food. He called these food enzyme stomach. He said that in addition to the enzymes that come in from food, there were also little bacteria that lived in the stomach that also produced enzymes. So the stomach itself, the 3 stomachs in ruminants, 3 of the 4 stomachs in ruminants do not produce their own enzymes, but depend on food enzymes and the enzymes that are produced by microorganisms, and, by the way, the enzymes that are produced by microorganisms in the soil. They all produced enzymes and contributed enzymes to these stomachs. He called these food enzyme stomachs. Then he actually studied other animals. He found that whales have food enzyme stomachs. Whales have 3 stomachs. And they also have food enzyme stomachs. Dolphins and porpoises also have 3 stomachs, and two of the 3 are food enzyme stomachs. 2 of the 3 stomachs in cetaceans, that's the class that whales fall into, and dolphins and porpoises. 2 of the 3 stomachs are food enzyme stomachs. They don't make their own enzymes. Instead, when they eat fish, these animals eat fish, the fish will sit in these food enzyme stomachs and contribute their enzymes as they're being digested in the stomach, as they're being dissolved in the stomach. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. back on the bright side. 844-236-6010 is our number, and we do have lines open for you. 844-236-6010. If you have questions about anything we're speaking about here today, or comment or success story you'd like to share, 844-236-6010. If you want to purchase longevity products, head to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. Click on the Join the Team link if you want to sign up to join the Brightside Ben team for a one-time $25 fee. You can be in business for yourself. You can order products on the website. You can also call 866-735-2470 for products or to sign up to join the Brightside Ben team. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. Okay, so we're talking about the enzyme, the notion or the concept of food enzyme stomachs. Animals have food enzyme stomachs. Ruminants have stomachs that only or that depend on food enzymes, depend on what they eat. Ruminants, cattle, sheep, cows, camels. I think camels are ruminants. I know they have multiple stomachs. In any case, there are animals that eat grass and they have multiple stomachs, and enzymes are only produced in one. The other three stomachs depend on enzymes from the grass. Fish, or cetaceans, whales and dolphins and porpoises eat fish. And these animals also have food enzyme stomachs, according to Dr. Howell. They have 3 stomachs, and 2 of them are food enzyme stomachs, don't produce enzymes. The fish goes in the stomach, the fish rot, digest, self-destruct, as all dead bodies do. And they secrete enzymes. Enzymes are responsible for how a body deteriorates, by the way. When a body dies, it has to be buried right away. The reason it has to be buried right away, one of the reasons, is because it's being digested by enzymes. Enzymes that come from the body itself. As the cells die, they release enzymes, death enzymes, and also microbial enzymes. And all of these enzymes create a lot of toxic chemistry. As the enzymes act on the dead body, toxic chemistry is produced, and that's why you have to bury. That's why burying our dead was considered to be a great advance in human evolution, when we figured out how to bury our dead or cremate our dead. That's why all cultures do that right away. It's because of the enzymes. There's actually a self-destruct. There's actually a death enzyme called cathepsin, CHATEPSIN. This is an enzyme that's found in fish and all dead bodies as they die, and the cathepsin contributes to the digestive process inside the body. Cathepsin is a tissue-dissolving enzyme that has multiple functions. It's responsible for the deterioration of tissue when a body dies, and it can also be used for digesting food. It's a tissue-dissolving enzyme. It's acid-activated, like other digestive enzymes. So acid in the stomach can activate it. And you can actually measure cathepsin levels in a human body to see how fast that body is dying, how fast that body is breaking apart. Diseases are associated with elevated cathepsin on the way to death. And then when we die, you get a big burst of cathepsin, and everything deteriorates. But it's COPD and Alzheimer's disease and gum disease and connective tissue diseases of all kinds, the Ebola virus, arthritis. These are all manifestations of or signs of elevated cathepsin. They're all associated with elevated cathepsin. I don't know if it's the cause, but it very well could be. All of the things that we call diseases are really breakdown of the body. That's what I always say. There's no multiple diseases. There's only one disease. My body is falling apart disease, MBFA disease. It's the only disease there is. If you have a chronic degenerative disease, forget your official diagnosis, of which there's thousands, 12,000 plus. You just have one diagnosis to deal with. Your body's falling apart. Elevated cathepsin, elevated deterioration enzymes. Cathepsin is unbelievably valuable as a marker of illness, but you don't want to regard it as a cause necessarily, although it is a cause, but it in itself is caused by something else. So it's not the first cause. Of course, drug companies, they love the idea that there's a chemical that's associated with Alzheimer's disease and COPD and gum disease, et cetera, because now you can make drugs, anti-cathepsin drugs, and that's what they're doing exactly. Cathepsin inhibitors. That's like a major target of pharmaco research, is substances that will that will target cathepsin, that will inhibit cathepsin. Cancer, by the way, is associated with elevated cathepsin. Cancer cells actually make lots of cathepsin. That's how they metastasize. That's how they spread. That's how they cause a breakdown of tissues so they can actually invade. Cancer is the most brilliant cell of all. Cancer cells are genius cells. A cancer cell is the end result of a cell that has been forced to leverage all of its resources to survive. That's what a cancer cell is, folks. That's what cancer is. Cancer is the end result of cells that have been forced to leverage their most powerful resources for survival. They're in survival mode. They're the ultimate survival cells. And they secrete death hormones to kill things that will interfere with their ability to survive, namely our tissue. Cathepsin is how cancer spreads. By the way, vitamin D is one of nature's best cathepsin inhibitors. The sun is a cathepsin inhibitor via its activation of cholesterol. Vitamin D, of course, as you know probably, is cholesterol. Yes, vitamin D is cholesterol. Tweaked version of cholesterol. Nonetheless, it's still based on a cholesterol chassis. In any case, the sun hits this cholesterol chassis in the skin, boom, or this cholesterol in the skin, and vitamin D is produced. And vitamin D is one of nature's best cathepsin inhibitors. Get yourself some sun. The sun is anti-aging. The sun will slow down the destruction of tissue. If you have Alzheimer's disease, the brain tissue that's deteriorating and that is replaced by plaques is deteriorating as a function of cathepsin, elevated cathepsin. Now, ideally, you want to figure out why you're secreting so much cathepsin, and that usually involves the fourfold square of health or the triangle of disease. Both. Nonetheless, you can use vitamin D, you can use UV exposure, solar exposure to reduce your cathepsin levels. How ironic is it that via this cathepsin connection, the sun, via vitamin D, is anti-cancer. The sun protects us against the effects of cancer. Why? Because it helps us make cathepsin inhibitors. Without cathepsin, cancer cannot spread. Cathepsin also plays a role in skin health. Cathepsin is a death enzyme, but it also has a sun protective factor, or actually a photo damage protective factor. It will protect the skin against damage. It's been found that cathepsin levels are reduced in the skin when the skin gets damaged, and they're actually trying to come up with cathepsin gels to treat photo damage. That's one of the targets of skin pharmaco research is cathepsin topicals. Topical cathepsin. Get yourself some vitamin D. That's the best topical cathepsin. Make your own vitamin D. You can also use vitamin D topically, and that's another strategy. Although I'm always a believer in helping your skin make vitamin D rather than using it topically. Nonetheless, vitamin D, topical vitamin D may help via its cathepsin inhibiting effects. Actually, that would make sense now. I take that back because cathepsin inhibition is different from cathepsin, obviously. So cathepsin gel would be something that actually delivered cathepsin to the skin. I'm not sure how that exactly would work. Nonetheless, that's according to, researchers and scientists who found that cathepsin levels may be reduced.
Water is the same.
We're back on the bright side. 844-236-6010, 844-236-6010, and we got an empty board, so we'll just do some news stories and maybe even get to some letters here. I got all kinds of letters I've been meaning to answer. It's very difficult for me to reply back to everybody, and I apologize if I have not gotten back to you, but you can always call at 844-236-6010. We're on 5 days a week, and we're happy to answer your questions. 844-236-6010 on the air. If you have comments or success stories, likewise, 844-236-6010. All right, from Medical News Today, depression, electrical stimulation can significantly improve mood. New research shows that deep brain stimulation can tackle treatment-resistant depression, stimulating a brain area called the OFC, the orbitofrontal cortex, led to significant improvements in mood for people with moderate to severe depression. Major depressive disorder is a serious problem 16 million people are diagnosed, although a lot more people are depressed. And for a lot of folks, drugs don't really work. Now, I would say if you're depressed and drugs don't work, it's probably because you're supposed to be depressed. For one reason or another, something's eating at you. That's what depression is, really. We're not in touch with our unconscious. That's a problem with trying to use your conscious mind to address mental health challenges. And that's also the problem with trying to use nutritional supplements to address mental health challenges. I get calls about people who are dealing with depression or anxiety and bipolar disorder and various mental health issues. And I'm always a little bit hesitant to just say, take this vitamin or that. Yes, it's true. Deficiencies in the B vitamins, deficiencies in magnesium, deficiencies in omega-3 fatty acids, if they're significant, can lead to mood problems, including depression and mental health problems. But I find, after doing this for 30 plus years, I find that whenever there's a mental health issue, there is something percolating on the mental or emotional level. It's not a nutritional issue. Can you make a difference with Beyond Tangy Tangerine? Perhaps. Are you going to take care of the problem? Probably not. Maybe in the rare case when you happen to have depression associated with B vitamin deficiency or electrolyte deficiency, maybe then replacing the missing nutrients via supplementation or changing the way you eat, eating less sugar, for example, will have an impact. But usually there's something percolating underneath, and that's also the problem with a strategy like electrical stimulation. Yes, you could probably jack up the system. You could probably, with electricity, and as we will be talking about, the body's an electrical system, and certainly the brain is an electrical system. By driving electrical energy into the body or brain, you can create health changes. And if you need healing physically, as we're going to be talking about in the coming days, there's a lot you can do by creative manipulation of electrical energy. But as far as taking care of depression, I think maybe we should be figuring out what's going on underneath and being in touch with our unconscious. Having the conscious in touch with the unconscious, or exposing the unconscious to the conscious, is a really, really important strategy. Knowing why we are who we are. Knowing why we do what we do. Now, there's probably always going to be elements that we're never going to have access to. But the unconscious is really where a lot of our because the unconscious is where a lot of our behaviors emanate from. It really becomes important to understand our unconscious. What is going on that's underneath our behaviors? What is the cause of our choices and our actions? Underneath, behind the scenes kind of thing. Now, by definition, the unconscious is the unconscious, and you can't know what you don't know. So by definition, it's unconscious. However, by its effects, by the things that are happening in our lives, and most especially our moods, we can get a clue to what's percolating in the unconscious. That means if you're depressed, that's a clue that there's something that's percolating in the unconscious. Yes, it's true, it's unconscious, so you don't know it because it's unconscious, but by the fact that you're depressed, you can infer that there is something underneath. And that's why it's important not to divert your attention if you're depressed or have anxiety or have bipolar disorder or any kind of mental health issue, to divert yourself by saying, what supplements do I take and what formulas do I use? You want to use your depression as a portal or as a window to what's happening in your unconscious. And the more we become aware of what's in our unconscious, the more we make the unconscious conscious, the more powerful we become, not just in terms of our bodies and in terms of our health and not our mental health, but in our lives. So much of our lives are driven by unconscious choices that we make, and not having access to the unconscious, or not understanding the language of what shows up in our world and treating it as a code for what's happening behind the scenes and the unconscious does not serve us. All right. Studying depression in key brain areas. I love this idea, though, of electricity. It's not the kind of electricity that they used to use in mental health institute in insane asylums. The kind of electrical shock, they call it electrical shock therapy. It's not that kind of electrical shock. It's a more controlled electrical energy that is directed at a specific part of the brain. Nonetheless, I don't know if I'd be up for giving my brain an electrical jolt. I'd be looking for more gentle ways of dealing with my mental health issues. All right, around the world, children are far more likely than ever to develop food allergies. The rise in allergies in recent decades has been particularly noticeable in the West. Why do you think? Well, according to this article, it may have something to do with dairy and food chemicals, food additives. Life-threatening reactions can be prompted by even traces of trigger foods, meaning patients and families live with fear and anxiety. You know, GMO corn and GMO soy tends to be more allergenic. Why is it that we're suffering, our kids are suffering more and more from these types of allergic reactions? I would say it would have something to do with processed food. One of the best things you can give your kid if they're dealing with food allergens is enzymes. Digestive enzyme supplements, and enzyme-rich foods. Certainly, if your kid has allergies, and when I say allergies, I'm not just talking about food allergies. I'm talking about any kind of allergies, seasonal allergies. But if they have food allergies, seasonal allergies, any kind of allergies, one of the best things you can give them is digestive enzymes, in addition to making sure they stay away from problem foods. By the way, childhood asthma and childhood eczema oftentimes are related to allergic reactions, typically to foods. And this is one of the interesting things about asthma and eczema, for that matter, is while there's nothing you could do, there's nothing the medical model can do for you except for to give you foods, drugs that suppress the immune response. There's a lot we can do. And I'm talking asthma. I'm talking eczema. I'm not talking about the obvious manifestations of food allergies, like rashes, but things that you may not relate to food allergies. I'm not talking about dramatic kinds of anaphylaxis shock reactions. I'm just talking about a mild skin condition like eczema. You want to relate both eczema and asthma, asthma and eczema, to food allergies first and foremost. Likewise, puffy eyes in children. Puffiness, in fact, puffiness under the eyes in anybody. I got a letter yesterday from somebody who wanted to know about puffy eyes. Puffy eyes in children or in adults is a classic manifestation of a food allergy issue. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll return right after this. Bright side, I am Pharmacist Ben, and we got the lines open, all our lines open at 844-236-6010, and we got lots of things to talk about here. So, if nobody's on board, we'll just read you the latest in the news from. This one is from the Journal of Dermatology. Eradication of a bacteria called H. pylori is beneficial for rosacea. This is so important because, like I was talking before the break about puffy eyes being a sign of food allergies, of blood not circulating as it should be circulating following the deposition of immune complexes from the digestive system. That is, an immune reaction in the digestive system leads to sluggish blood, leads to puffy eyes. In the same way that puffy eyes is not a skin condition, rosacea is not a skin condition. There's all kinds of skin creams for puffy eyes. I've been in the skincare business for many years, and one of the top 5 requests that I get is to create a product or recommend a product for puffy eyes. Puffy eyes is not a skin condition. Sometimes we see things on the skin, but that doesn't make it a skin condition. Rosacea we see on the skin, but what we're really seeing is a window to the circulatory system. When you're looking at puffy eyes, you're looking at a window to the circulatory system. It's the same idea, kind of like we were talking about earlier, how behind mental health, the surface, there's a behind the scenes. And this is kind of how health is. There's a behind the scenes. The power comes from behind the scenes. Just like with mental health issues, the power to deal with conscious manifestations of bipolar disorder, or depression, or whatever your mental health challenge is to go to the unconscious, to go behind the scenes, likewise with the skin. You go behind the scenes. If you have a skin problem, you want to go behind the scenes. If you have a skin problem, you got a blood problem. And this is classically manifested by not only puffy eyes, but also rosacea. I've been saying to people for years, if you got rosacea, you want to make sure that you're staying away from problem foods and you're digesting your food correctly. And one of the first things you could do is get yourself on some enzymes. Another thing you could do is take in stomach acid. Chances are pretty good if you have rosacea, you're not making making enough stomach acid, and that's where the bacteria H. pylori comes into play. Patients with concurrent rosacea tend to have concurrent, that is at the same time, H. pylori infections in the digestive system, and use, according to this article in the Journal of Dermatology, use of standard H. pylori eradication therapy is associated with improvement in rosacea. Now, if doctors are going to utilize what they call H. pylori eradication therapy, that is killing H. pylori, they're going to use antibiotics. I say use stomach acid, because it turns out that H. pylori thrives when there's no stomach acid. In fact, it's believed that H. pylori actually can be involved in suppressing stomach acid so they can survive. Using stomach acid supplements, betaine HCl, as well as apple cider vinegar, and digestive enzymes should be the #1 course of therapy for anyone who has rosacea. Now, of course, the most important thing is staying away from problem foods. It's always going to be the most important thing. But in addition to that, utilizing natural anti-H. pylori therapies such as stomach acid and digestive enzymes, and also probably probiotics, is your main strategy for dealing with rosacea. It is not a topical condition. And yes, I know there's this myth out there that there's little mites that live in the skin, and that's what causes rosacea. And other people will tell you that it's fungus, and they give you antibiotic creams, etc. But rosacea needs to be regarded as a blood condition, not a skin condition. That means if you're going to deal with rosacea, you've got to deal with the blood. And if you're dealing with the blood, it all starts off with the digestive system, especially the stomach in this case. Use apple cider vinegar, digestive enzymes with betaine HCl, and probiotics, and stay away from problem foods. And that's my personal recommendation for a anti-rosacea protocol. All right, 844-236-6010. And John is on the line. John in California. What's up, John? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for your program. Please take care of yourself, because we don't want you to go away for any reason.
What you mean, like you mean if I happen to just commit suicide all of a sudden, or something like that?
Or step in front of the bus or whatever.
Oh no, I'm going to be fine. But thank you, I appreciate the well wishes.
Okay,
thank you.
All right, so I've been listening to you now for close to 20 years.
Oh wow.
And so you're pretty much the highlight of my day.
Oh my goodness. So have I changed? Has anything I've said changed? It's pretty much the same stuff, right?
That's what's so wonderful, the repetition, the reinforcement, and I have to give you so much credit for adding in each time a little something new, a little something different.
Oh, good. Thank you, because I'm always learning stuff.
It's like I'm continually learning.
That's great.
Every time you come on.
Good for you. Are you either an educator or a healthcare professional?
Well, I have been a teacher in the past.
Yeah, I can tell that you're sort of an educator, because you appreciate information and how information is presented. That's good. That's high praise coming from an educator. Thank you. So what's going on?
Thank you. Okay. So I've been diagnosed with anemia.
Okay.
And it's been a while, and they checked my iron, B12, and folate, and they were all normal.
Okay.
And so, of course, they couldn't determine where in the world.
How did they diagnose you? What did they do to diagnose your anemia? Did they checked your blood and the blood? So basically, you're not making enough blood cells. Is what they told you, or are they damaged?
Low red blood count. Yeah.
Okay. It's not that they're abnormal. It's you're just not making enough.
That's right. As far as I know,
okay.
I think that's
okay.
it.
So if they're not, if they're abnormal, that's a little bit different. If your body's making them and they're just not making them correctly, that's a little bit different, but not a lot. Basically, the idea is your body is not responding to energy needs. So you need more energy than your body is capable of producing. Does that make sense? Forget the specifics of the mechanics of it. Your body has a certain energy needs. All our bodies have energy needs. And in order to meet those energy needs, the body makes blood cells, red blood cells, and the red blood cells carry oxygen around. Your body is not responding to its energy needs. So in other words, you're not making enough red blood cells to match up with what you need. Are you with me here?
Well, I'm with you, but...
Okay, so the problem is in a production of red blood cells, right? You're not making enough red blood cells, okay? Under ordinary circumstances, you would be making enough red blood cells. Under ordinary circumstances, you would make enough red blood cells to match your energy requirements. That's not happening in your case. Your body's not responding to its energy requirements. There's only two reasons why that would occur. Number one, it's not capable of it because you've got some kind of a burden going on in there. And number two, it's not capable of it because it doesn't have the raw materials. It's either a burden or it's toxicity. I'm sorry, it's either toxicity or it's deficiency. Those are the two things you want to look at: toxicity and deficiency. Deficiency means deficiency.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of days ago about copper, and that is.
I don't know that it would be one single nutrient that would do it, although copper is definitely important. Absolutely, and zinc and copper go together. And if you're low in copper or you're elevated in zinc, you're going to be low in copper. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I've been following your protocol in the 1990 for 17, 18 years.
I'm thinking a lot. Where's the first place you want to focus? It's not what you take; it's what you absorb. Hang on, real quick, John. I only have about 30. John, hang on, real quick, because I only have about 30 seconds. Okay, it's not what you take; it's what you get into your blood. Number one, and what's the first place that you want to check for that? The digestive system, the intestine. So what I would be asking you is, do you have any intestinal issues that you know of? That's first. Are you with me?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
That's the first place I would look, because you could be taking everything you need, but if you're not absorbing, you're not going to get what you need. And on top of that, if there's little holes in the gut, which develop over time, now you're dealing with toxicity. So let me ask you, you sound like a smart guy. Are you in your 60s?
77.
Okay, 77, great. So what's going on in the intestine? Anything that you know? Anything from heartburn to constipation to gas to bloating to anything. What's going on there?
Well, one thing that I have to tell you is that I did pesticide application for over 20 years.
But before you get into that, just answer my question. What's going on? Anything that you know, can you think of? Because we're going to run out of time in seconds.
Well, I think I may have been low in producing stomach acid.
No, symptomatically. What's going on symptomatically? Gas, heartburn, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, loose stool, anything.
No,
What's going on?
None
of those things.
A little bit of gas in the morning, when I get up.
Okay, that's not significant. Look for stuff that's going on there. It would be very unusual for you not to have something going on there, and the reason that's important because that gives you a point of power, leverage. In the meantime, if you can push the body a little bit, and you want to see how your body responds when you push it. So push it and see if your body's able to handle a treadmill. It's not a lot though, a little bit. See if it's able to handle steps or a treadmill or something like that, and that will give you a clue to whether it's a production issue or it is a defective issue. The cells are defective. We want to know if it's productive or it's in production or defective. We're just out of time, buddy. I wish we had more. Okay. Call me back tomorrow. It's a very interesting subject. All right? Thanks for your call. Appreciate it.